The German market has always been a battleground where Mercedes, BMW, and Audi have fought tooth and nail for every customer. Whenever one brand introduced a new technology, another would release its own response almost immediately. It is precisely this fierce domestic competition that has made their cars the global benchmark. And in 2026, with Audi's arrival, this battle continues in the most prestigious racing series, Formula One. To understand why Audi decided to spend hundreds of millions of euros to enter the championship, we need to go back to the 1930s. Back then, there was no single dominant leader in German racing. There was a battle for survival between Mercedes-Benz and Auto Union, the predecessor of modern Audi. It was from this rivalry that the myth of the Silver Arrows was born. Many people assume that this name belongs exclusively to Mercedes, but in reality, both teams were called that in the 1930s. While Mercedes engineers were perfecting the classic layout, Auto Union developed a race car with the engine positioned directly behind the driver. In the 1930s, this was considered a risky experiment. The car was incredibly powerful, but due to its weight distribution, only a handful of drivers could handle it. Everything changed when Bernd Rosemeyer joined the team. He wasn't a professional race car driver in the traditional sense, he came from motocross. In 1936, he did something Stuttgart hadn't expected. He dominated the tracks and won the European Championship, the equivalent of Formula One at the time, leaving Mercedes in the dust. Rosemeyer proved in practice that the mid-engine layout was the future of racing, provided the driver was someone capable of feeling the car at the limits of physics. The climax of this battle came in January 1938 on the Autobahn between Frankfurt and Darmstadt. Rudolf Caracciola in a Mercedes had just clocked an incredible 268.9 miles per hour. Rosemeyer and Auto Union had to respond immediately. At speeds exceeding 267 miles per hour, a car becomes a projectile, where even the slightest mishap can be fatal. A sudden gust of crosswind knocked Rosemeyer's car off course. The car was reduced to a pile of debris. Bernd died instantly. He was only 28 years old. This tragedy effectively put an end to the most intense phase of their rivalry, and a year later, World War II began. Mercedes spent years building its empire in Brackley, and when the hybrid era began in 2014, they were better prepared for it than anyone else. 8 consecutive Constructors' Championships turned them into the undisputed leader and the face of global motorsport. At that time, Audi was forging its own path. They weren't aiming for Formula One, instead focusing on rallying and Le Mans. There, they dominated for decades, spearheading technical revolutions. It was an era of unqualified triumph, but it had a side effect. While Audi was winning 24-hour marathons, watched mainly by pros and fans, Mercedes was capturing the attention of hundreds of millions of Formula One viewers every Sunday. The move in 2026 is not an emotional impulse, but a cold calculation. The change in engine regulations gives Audi a chance to wipe the slate clean of the advantage Mercedes has held for the past 10 years. Instead of building a team from scratch, they bought Sauber. This is ironic, because it was Sauber in the 1980s that helped Mercedes return to major racing as a sports car partner. Their approach to personnel is also pragmatic. Audi isn't looking for young and promising talent. They signed Mattia Binotto, a man from Ferrari, who literally lives and breathes F1 engines. This is aggressive headhunting, aimed at transforming Audi as quickly as possible into a force that Mercedes will have to reckon with, if not today, then in the very near future. In the coming years, we'll see the continuation of this battle, which effectively stalled on that very Autobahn back in 1938. It will be a battle not only of engines and aerodynamics, but also of 2 massive corporate egos. The German Derby is back, and this time, it's not just a trophy at stake, but the status of Germany's top engineer. We put a lot of effort into this analysis. If you enjoyed the video, please support us by subscribing and liking. It really helps the channel grow. And who should we feature in our next video? Let us know in the comments, we read everything. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.